That was the thing you did. Hit the button again.
Welcome to episode 162 of About the Cards podcast, live tonight on YouTube, as always, with host Stephen Loeffler at Collectibility, Ben Wilson at our trading cards, and I'm Tim Shepler at Big Shep 79. We are a podcast by collectors for collectors. Hope to bring you a smart, insightful podcast discussing trading card collecting. We're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific,
10 Central. On
YouTube, Facebook Live, and Twitch. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at About the Cards. Available as a podcast everywhere you can find one. Make sure you check out the website aboutthecards.wordpress.com. Fellas, it feels good to be back after a 2-week vacay, and I appreciate you guys and everybody that came in and hung out while I was gone. We had a little family trip, and then we had some stuff going around the house, and so I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And we have some news about the podcast, some breaking news tonight. And I just want to tell everybody thank you. This will be my last episode of About the Cards podcast. It's been a fun 3+ year ride. As Uncle Rich says, 162 games. And it's been just a lot of fun. Steph and Ben and I have been becoming even closer friends doing this over all that time. Made a ton of friends with all the viewers and the listeners, and I appreciate all that. Just at this point, I've kind of not been able to put my full love and heart into doing this podcast week in and week out, and I don't want to affect the quality and what we've made and what we've built here so far over 3.5 years and all these episodes. And I didn't want to be unfair to you guys listening and gals listening and watching, and to my two buddies here doing the show. And so I want I wanted to put that out there. We're going to have some fun tonight. We've got a great show on board, but I want to let you do that. They've told me that the seat's always open to come back, and I understand. And we will see. We'll see about that. I don't know what the future holds, but guys, I appreciate it. Let's have some fun tonight and talk some cards, because I definitely have some fun topics. We definitely have some fun topics on board tonight.
Hey, Just real quick, Tim, obviously it's been an honor to sit with you for the last 3 years and get to know not only you, but your family a lot better, brothers for life. Moving forward, Steph and I will be a 2-man show. I think we're just going to have a revolving, roster stable of co-hosts, just, come in on a weekly basis and sit with us, just kind of like what we do now, where we have 4 of us. But just like a parent who sees their kid go off to college, whenever you're ready to come back home, porch lights on for you,
appreciate that.
To take from Motel 6, we'll leave a light on.
I mean, we don't expect you to remain gone forever, but at the same time, we're going to keep your seat warm, but it's unofficially yours, officially yours, whenever you come back.
Forever. But in the meantime, we are changing the locks. Like I said before the show, the gas card does not work anymore. All your passwords have been changed. Your hard drive has been wiped, and we're changing our last name. But all joking aside, we are going to continue with the About the Cards name. And even if you decide not to come back on a full-time basis, you're more than welcome to be one of those names on a short list that will just be kind of a revolving guest host, and
Well, and Ben truly knows about the short list, so you'll be like 1A to
First off, I automatically became the second tallest person on the show, just like that.
But also the quickest fuse to get dropped.
Oh, wow.
Welcome back.
Let's hope that doesn't happen over here tonight.
All right, on with the show. Let's have some good times as we roll out the last. You were going to be like the Rolling Stones. I know you'll be back over and over again. This will be like the first of 43 farewell tours.
Yes. So. The week that was last week's release is Topps Living Week 177, card 435, Nathan Eovaldi, starting pitcher of the Boston Red Sox, sold over 1,500. And then we had card 436, Jake Cronenworth, rookie shortstop of the San Diego Padres, sold almost 3,300. And I was pretty impressed that Eovaldi sold that many. But Cronenworth over 3,200, which is pretty cool. They were pretty decent looking cards. I was excited. Picked up a couple of Jakes for the old Topps Living collection. So
fancy. Well, is it the Topps Living collection or is it the Topps Living rookie collection?
Rookie collection. Yeah.
Understandable.
So not too bad. There also was 2020 Leaf Valiant Baseball, 2021 Leaf Greatest Hits Basketball, 2021 Panini Select UFC, 2021 Topps Bundesliga Soccer. You guys talk soccer. You talk soccer and UFC while I was gone.
And Pokemon.
Yeah.
And I believe briefly hockey?
Select basketball.
See, you leave the show and all of a sudden
this show talking UFC and Pokemon.
You leave the show and all of a sudden it goes.
Episode, yeah. There's an over/under poll, and I got the under.
Usually Ben has the under.
This show went way off the rails, and we're 7 minutes and 28 seconds in.
I love it. It's awesome. Hot off the presses this week's New Year's. These Topps Living Week 178. We had card 439, Mark Melanson, pitcher San Diego Padres. So back-to-back Padres. The Padres have a ton of cards. And card 438, Jazz Chisholm, rookie shortstop of the Miami Marlins. And I'm glad to see Melanson's actually recovered his career, because when he came to the Giants, he just his went. He really stunk.
I want you to do that in every segment. Every segment, you gotta send off that segment with that.
Yeah.
Topic just record it.
Yeah.
I do. I have it. I listen to it at night, like sounds of the,
just on repeat. This is with the Michael Dave comment.
Dumb pee.
We should bring that one back for this show if we have it on standby. I know Steph's got it in his back pocket.
Probably.
It's somewhere.
Probably. We also have 2021 Panini Gold Standard Football drop today. Only $550 a box, 1 pack per box, 7 cards per pack. You're going to get 2 base cards, inserts, and/or parallels, 5 autographs or memorabilia cards, a 300-card base set. And boy, howdy, is it ugly. Like, I don't know what it is. Gold Standard used to be kind of a good-looking set. This looked like I don't know, like, just not good.
Guys, we get it. You like gold, but bring in some other colors from,
it looks like Trump Tower made a set.
Like we get it. You have a crayon box, but like use it in other sets too.
Yeah, were there any 49ers on that promo sheet? I mean, that might be the one team where this doesn't look so bad.
Yeah, it was like unless it's in the.
But then again, it's like maybe one of those camouflage things, right? Where you're putting gold and red or maroon or whatever their official color is.
Green Bay, maybe.
Yeah. So
not every product is for everyone.
This week. So I mean, like, they'll let me down here. Just one release this week was football, and there it is. And make sure you check out our buddy Ryan Cracknell's articles on Beckett.com/new for more details on these new releases. What's brewing week's releases? 2021 Topps Allen and Ginter. How I love you, Allen and Ginter.
Allegedly.
2021 O-Peachy Platinum Hockey. 2021 Panini National Treasures Basketball. That's only going to be $6 gazillion a box. 21 Topps Luminaries Baseball. 2021 Upper Deck Ice. the hockey product maybe come out. I mean, this thing's been pushed back more than God knows what. It was supposed to come out like 4 months ago. We also had 21 WNBA Prism basketball. Last year's release was huge. A lot of people loved that. Mm-hmm. And then 21 Panini Immaculate Collegiate Football and 21 Panini Prism Baseball, all scheduled next week. I don't know if we see 8 releases next week, but I don't know. I'll have to tune in and see if you guys are covering 8 releases or if it's just 4 or 5.
Is that why you quit? Because there were too many releases next week?
Too many releases next week, yeah.
You didn't want to announce them all?
I mean, hobby burnout is a thing.
We could have took turns.
That's a lot. Infield chatter, our hobby talk section part of the show. We're getting into it early. There's a lot to talk about tonight. So more metal. So from our buddy Ryan Cracknell, he tweets out Upper Deck signed the original 1990s Metal Universe designers to create new sets. Multi-sport Metal Universe champions coming later this year. The couple will create other products as well. So anybody remembers like the Metal Universe stuff from back in the day? Oh, it was glorious. And so, yeah, non-sport hockey or both. And then Upper Deck came back and said, no, multi-sport. So it even says in the tweet multi-sport. So,
yeah, some of the Metal Universe stuff is just ridiculous. Yeah.
No, that was always a really nice product. And hopefully we'll get in the original people being involved with it to maybe give it some new life 30 years or so late, 25 years later. So that'd be outstanding.
See, I came back into the hobby. So my dark window personally was when that stuff came out. So going back and 3, 4, 5 years ago, getting my hands on it, 20 years later and looking at it, and now you're collecting all of this modern stuff, right? You get that Metal Universe up against some of this modern, you go, what? This is great. I mean, it really was a good product. So excited to see what it looks like once it starts popping on the secondary. Should be, if they stay true to the original, enhance it even, it'd be awesome.
Yeah. Well, and based off the preview images, it definitely looks like they're going to be with the precious metal gems for Metal Universe, the platinum portraits, the Skybox Premium, a name we haven't heard in decade. I mean, Skybox in general. John Belaya, the inserts, those were always really cool. And then looks like some other insert that's impossible to read. But also new product release, 2021 Premier Prospects Basketball, just announced 10 hours ago.
It's EPAC, right?
It looks like it's EPAC, yep.
Yeah. I like the J-Lo comment. Is it my J-Lo?
Yeah. It was a lot of people, for those listening, are commenting about missing Tim in the YouTube chat, and I just said, it's a big hole both for the show and our hearts, but it's not like you're going away forever. And hey, if Affleck can get J-Lo back, we can get you back. So yeah, scenario.
I'm not dead. I'm going to be on Twitter. I'm going to be around and stuff like that. Just doing.
Going to be around, all right.
in this case, you are Sheppy from the block.
Yeah, there we go. I'll take it.
Okay,
I've worked a block or two before.
He's got to get booted for that one. I'm sorry.
So mean.
I really don't like him having that button, especially with you not being here moving forward. I'll just be sitting here for like an hour and a half by myself in the back room.
Just talking. No idea.
Eating bananas and green M&Ms.
I mean, it would be a better show.
New LCS coming. At the Curry Vault, Ryan Channel's handle. It's with extreme excitement and joy that Justin Channels and I announced we are opening a card shop in Northern California. I think it's going to be in the Napa area.
And those are brothers?
Yep, twins.
Twins.
It'll be called California Roadshow, a sister shop to Kentucky Cards Kentucky Roadshow. Our buddy Jimmy. We can't wait to elevate the hobby SKU this fall. So this is gonna be awesome. These guys are partnering with Jimmy to bring a West Coast version of his shop. And you remember we had him on? Was it like October of 19?
Yep. And I went to his shop earlier this spring.
and he was awesome. And he put on the trade night with Ryan Johnson, Card Collector 2. That had tons and tons of people at the National this year. So it's awesome to see these guys hopping into young, enthusiastic guys, and so it'll be fun and good to see like some new blood getting into this, and hopefully they can do well. And it's in the local area, so I like to run down there once they open and check it out, see what's going on.
Well, and especially with Jimmy backing it. I mean, speaking from experience, as he appears online is exactly how he is in person. Top 10 hobby guy as far as personalities. And hopefully they listen to a lot of his advice, because I know with his shop opening a year or two ago, he can definitely give them some great feedback. So
yeah, no, definitely. There's this whole thing about card LCS 2.0 happening, where it's more all the shops that the guys in the in our 20s, late like, so I would say 30s to 40s plus. Remember the card shop back in the day? It was really transactional. Come in, buy your packs, and leave, right? And it was just really transactional.
A dark, dimly lit room, all musty, cobwebs all over the corners.
Stuff everywhere. Not friendly. The shop owner's not friendly, and Ben and I experienced this, right?
I'm
our
sorry,
shop here.
It's Magic Night. You can't come in to collect cards today.
Yeah, and they're moving this to what Jimmy and Ryan have coined kind of like the LCS 2.0, where you have trade nights, you have like bar areas to go sit down and open up boxes, and
huge table, TV running that's not based off some sort of through the air, an actual cable package, HD instead of 5 pixels on the screen.
And then and they do some stores are doing or they do in-store breaks or whatever for their customers alive, and there's more of a conversation that happens, kind of come out and hang out, and make friends and build relationships with people in your area and with the hobby. So I think that's pretty cool.
Well, and who knew that having a place to come sit and talk sports would actually drive more business to the shop.
Yeah, or also too, like, hey, watching other people open a product, and then they always make somebody get the itch to go, like, hey, let me hop in though, let me grab a box.
Well, and of course, they can share it to social media saying, hey, look what was pulled in the shop.
Yeah, which
we used to have an LCS about the time Tim and I really started to become friends in person. And they would have I think it was like the first Saturday of every month, they'd have a trade night on Saturdays from like 5 to 7 or whenever it ended. But he'd have a game on the big screen if there was one going on. He had, once in a while, he'd have a smaller monitor with like Madden on it on the Xbox if you wanted to play some Madden. And again, you're playing Madden, football, all of a sudden it gets those juices flowing. Good way, he'd have a whiteboard up so that he could do some box breaks, and then he'd also have a couple of computers there for people that, now we have it on our phones. It's not as necessary, but remember back 10 years ago, maybe not everybody had instant access to eBay, but he'd have a couple of desktops there that you could peruse eBay should that be your thing. And a lot of fun, kind of spills out, not a huge LCS, kind of spilled out into the parking lot a little bit. And it was just a great time for 2-3 hours on a Saturday night, whether you bought anything or not. Whether you traded anything, it was just a really good time to be around 24 other collectors and maybe go home with some stuff, maybe not, but at the very least, you had a really good time.
You got to hang out with your buddy Brad.
I got to hang out with this guy, and his name was Brad. Best friends for life.
Brad.
Wonder what he's doing these days. Maybe he has Wednesday nights free.
Yeah. So no, that's cool, and I love this. I mean, remember that shop we went to where it was a Modesto that had like everything, but it was all priced to like even now if you went in there, the prices this guy on price would still be too high, even with the market the way it's been lately. They would still be too high. Like that's where it was. Like a pack of like 87 tops was like $6, and it's like.
That dude was ready. He was ready for July 2020 since 1988. His prices were there on singles and boxes. He was just waiting 30 years for the market to shift, and damn it if it didn't catch up to him.
It was priced not to sell. You know, like sometimes you go to the card shop or the show and you see like someone's like this massive card priced at like $10,000. Everybody knows, hey, that's like a $2,500 card. But they have this crazy price because they don't want to sell it. They just kind of want to flex on you and show like, hey, this guy was basically like had his collection priced in this big shop. And I haven't been back since. I would like to go back and see if he's still open.
That guy's probably third base cards as his daddy or granddaddy. The guy who had the platinum Eric Hosmer for like $5,000 and the Babe Ruth for $100,000. And then,
Mm-hmm. Like it's nice that you have a museum, but where's the stuff that's actually for sale?
I picked up a Plumbers Union A's team set, which was the continuation of the stadium giveaway, Mother's Cookies. So I don't want to say there wasn't anything there. And I think, Tim, when we went down there, I think we pulled out our ATM for something, but it was the only thing in there that was reasonably priced. But he had Hot Wheels. I
think about 87 Fleer update set, something like that.
Yeah, he had a lot of the top traded sets. I know he had a lot of football sets you were looking for at that time.
It was like a 2006 top football set, you know, that had Leinart and Bush and all those guys that failed. And he wanted like $85 for it. And I was like,
maybe in 2006?
Yeah. So, anyway, I just thought it was funny. Our buddy Tim over at Signatures for Soldiers. Now, I even tweeted this out. Just absolutely awesome. He said it. This is a note from Tim over at Soldiers or Signatures for Soldiers. To say our trip to the National was a success would be an understatement. The amount raised via the National Sports Collectors Convention auction powered by Handbid was $11,591. The amount raised via general sales and donations at the Signature for Soldiers booth was $16,515. Our grand total for funds raised via the national for the military missions in action was $28,106. So to put some perspective, I want to share our experiences with previous nationals. We've attended. Our first national was in 2018 in Cleveland during the 5 days. They raised $4,200. In 2019 in Chicago, they raised $8,900, and some of that was my money because I bought a few things there.
Guilty as charged.
Every year,
great shirts.
We've been extremely successful with building on our success from the previous year. I love it. I think that's where I got the 85 Eric Davis autograph for someone. Yeah,
86.
I bought a shirt and a couple other autos. I mean, just really well priced stuff, and a lot of that stuff is donated. Like the signatures are donated by the athletes, and the cards are donated, and then the signatures get donated, and just really, really cool idea that they have, and to raise that amount of money in just a couple day, like a 5 day period, is amazing. So,
love it.
And where they've come, like that's awesome.
Yeah,
pretty.
Yeah, anytime you have a program that's going to donate, anything to people that are in need, and need is a relative variable. People need different things, right? Sometimes they need shelter. Sometimes they need food. Sometimes they just need somebody to listen to them. Your heart's in the right place. You're doing something good. And if you can take home a collectible and know that your money is going to a good cause, even if you're overpaying for something. We have a local acoustic country concert every spring, and they get up and coming artists, and some of them are a little longer in the tooth that have had good careers but aren't at the top of the charts anymore, and they all donate autographed items of themselves, and it always goes to the Red Cross, or it goes to something to do with hunger. And a lot of the people that are buying these, and there's also a golf tournament the day before the concert, and you're overpaying for a 4 spot. But like say the three of us were going to go and have a foursome, the fourth person would be a Sacramento King or one of the country stars themselves, And so maybe the three of us are having a foursome with Bobby Jackson, formerly of the Kings. And so a lot of the local Sacramento, Northern California celebrities, sports stars of old and new come out and golf. And you're paying $800 to go out and golf, which is a crazy price. But all of that money is being donated. And you've got a memory to take home in a morning or an afternoon with a local celebrity or country star. A lot of fun. A lot of money flows out there, and it's neat. And Signatures for Soldiers, to be able to offer this, and if their prices are good, no less, that makes it even easier to want to go there and spend money. So good for them. It's a good cause, and good to see that number keeps going up and up. And hopefully 5 years from now, we're talking about them hitting 6 digits.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I mean, it's I've told him in person, to Tim, the other Tim, that their mission is one that, I'm completely behind. Parents are in the military, long history of military members in my family. And like you said, even if it just funds a VA trip via the car once a week to somebody, that means enough to that person. And it's one of the two charities that I outright support, just on principle. It's a great cause. Guys are great. You get something in your pockets, and hey, they do great work over there. So
definitely, they could use the help. So outstanding.
I don't know if you guys saw. It's not Tops Living per se, but there's a new Tops Now to chase down.
Oh, yeah. No, really?
Yes, the courageous cat.
Did you guys see about my tweet where it was like, all of the different things, the Tops Now desk? Guy, he pitches a one-hitter. Guy hits his first home run. Guy does this. I remember when the A's got 10,000 franchise victories or something like that. Nothing. But it's like, oh, hey, there's a cat on the field. You son of a gun, I'm in.
Yeah.
Well,
the squirrel card.
They have to release what they think they can sell, so that's why the A's cards didn't get released. and if I remember right, the previous cat that stormed the field also got a Tops Now, and it sold pretty well. So,
well, look at the Fauci and other ones that are legitimate, like the young lady who's the coach for the Giants, and some of the ones that are not as commonly, there's ones that we know, like a walk-off. The A's walked off a win today.
I liked I picked up one of the traded Chris Bryants to the Giants, by the way.
Nice. First card.
And then he had one where he had the home run in his debut. Can we talk about the trading deadline real quick? I didn't put this in the notes.
Huge for the hobby.
But when did the Chicago Cubs become the Oakland A's? It's just
Kansas
like,
City
hey, we have all
the
these
50s.
Let's just trade everybody. Like, I understand where they're coming from. Rizzo's 31. He's going to be 32 next year. Kimbrel has not been like he's good, but if you can get something for him now, what is he like 34? You weren't going to be able to pay Baez, and you couldn't get a deal done with Bryant. So why not go and trade these guys away, get something back, and then in the meantime, if something can be worked out in the offseason, maybe you try to get them back, like when Chapman went to the Cubs from the Yankees, and in the offseason the Yankees signed him back. And, hey, that worked out for him, and he got to go win a ring, and then he got to get paid and go back to where he wanted to be. And so
I could see Rizzo.
Mesmerized.
I could see Rizzo and Baez being back there next year. Not Bryant.
I'm really hoping the Giants keep Bryant. I've always wanted him to be a Giant. I think it's awesome. They have this pitcher in the 70s named Ron Bryant, and every time I see one of his cards, I'm like, God, I wish Chris Bryant was a Giant.
Yeah, they've got the money to sign him. He's just young enough to fit into the timeline with a lot of what they're trying to build, and bringing that new guard as Belt and Crawford, Posey start to leave. But let's not sell the Cubs short. I mean, they got rid of a lot of expiring contracts, but they got some talent. Madrigal, and Crow Armstrong. I mean, Greg Diekman from the A's in the Chafin trade. I mean, he's got some power. He might never really hit for average, but their farm was thin, and they are better for the next 3 years today than they would have been holding on to these legacy players that they could not re-sign. And I think Baez goes out into that market amidst all of these other shortstops and middle infielders, guys like Simeon who can play multiple positions. And I think Baez does not get the expectation or, the anticipated contract. And I think maybe he does find a home because the Cubs have offered him money. It's not like they're not willing to re-sign him. So I think the Cubs did well. I think the Nationals did well in their sell-off too.
You know who did really well?
Twins did well.
How badly did Toronto overpay? Austin Martin, who in his second game in single A, double A for us, hits a walk-off single to right. And then Simeon Woods Richardson?
No,
right?
I agree with you. Go ahead.
Shares my birthday. Kind of automatically already love the dude. For a year and a half of Berrios.
Yeah, a year and 2 months. Toronto's probably not going to re-sign him. And then, they've got to leapfrog the Yankees, who just got Rizzo and Gallo. They've got to leapfrog the A's. I mean, you could argue that the Red Sox and Rays, who are at the top of the division, are still playing, patty cake with division or wild card. So now you've got, multiple teams. You got the A's, you got the Mariners, you got the Yankees, along with the Red Sox and Rays. You still have the Indians kind of still sitting there too. The amount of players that were traded for teams that were going all in was incredible when you consider that most of it looks like we're heading for a Dodgers-Astros World Series rematch. Maybe. There's still a lot of talented teams, of course.
Hey, the Giants, baby.
Well, yeah, you got
it's not
Giants, Padres, Brewers. I mean,
new tradition.
Yeah, they got Chris Bryant now. I think they did. I think the Cubs did well. Dude, I think a lot of the teams.
I think the Twins did awesome trading Berrios, and you get Austin Martin, who's been in the hobby. Everybody's just been slobbing all over Austin Martin all year long.
Fifth overall last year.
I was a huge fan when he got picked by the Blue Jays at 5 because he was going to be part of that awesome infield. But I see what the Jays did there. Hey, Berrios is still young enough to be a core part of the team and what they're trying to move forward with.
Sure.
Yeah. But for the Twins, it's like, all right, this is our way to maybe get another superstar. Hopefully, have him come up. And if, the shortstop, the guy, Royce Lewis and Austin Martin are your infield, and maybe you have this awesome pair. That would be
Keone Cavaco.
Yeah.
Our 2018-17 pick, I want to say.
And they still have two huge assets. One that they'd probably have to pay that entire contract or close to it for Donaldson. But I bet you could get a couple of back of the rotation arms and, high.
We're all about the back of the rotation arms.
But then you also have Buxton, who would be a December deal, and somebody's going to take a flyer. Somebody's going to get pissed off this winter that they didn't win the World Series, and they're going to go all in for it. And it's going to be somebody like
the Dodgers,
perhaps. But I mean, a lot of it depends on Bellinger, and what do they do with Seager? If they re-sign Seager, you put Troy Turner out in center field, and but you'll have. Right now, let me ask you this, Tim. The Giants in the offseason, Joey Bart for Byron Buxton and maybe a couple of other loose parts. Do the Giants say no?
I don't think so.
Let's say they re-sign Bryant. You re-sign Bryant, you give up Joey Bart, and the assumption is 2 more years out of Posey. Don't really have a spot for Joey Bart right now unless Posey ends up as your first baseman. They've got the finances to handle it. They could theoretically offer. I mean, they made a run at Harper.
Yeah.
My
thing is that they also have Patrick Bailey, who they took in the first round last year, and they seem to really like. And Bart was not the draft pick of Farhan, who's running the team now. So it kind of says like, okay, like, hey, let's go in this other direction, and
That's
if Bart can bring somebody back, I'm fine with it, and we'll see. But my thing is with the Dodgers is look at the Dodgers. They can go out and buy like the Lakers, the Yankees. You can go out and buy all these guys and have them on your team. But are they actually a team? Are they actually going to be able to come through together? As long as Kenley Jansen's in that bullpen, I'm all for the Dodgers not winning. Mm-hmm. And look how many NL West titles they've won over the last umpteen years. Sure. How many times they've been in the playoffs, and how many have they won? One. It reminds me of the Atlanta Braves in the 90s, and those Braves teams were stacked, and they would go out and make a trade and add pieces in the offseason. They would go out and add them a grift during the season, make all these big deals, and then they would just poo-poo the bed in the playoffs, and they couldn't do anything. And they had those three starters that should have just dominated everybody, and I mean they couldn't even beat the Minnesota Twins. Like, let's be honest there. So I'm
not saying we're tanking, but we're tanking.
I'm just saying, like, the Dodgers were kind of remind me of that, where it's like, hey, we're really good through the regular season, but we get to the playoffs and it's like whatever. So anyway, I love to see them lose, and maybe I just love talking smack about them, but I don't see them as a championship team as far as what it takes to win a championship. Last year, come on now, COVID and all the weird stuff that went on, like it's got a little asterisk on it to me, if you ask. But
sure. Yeah. And to finish on the Blue Jays, I think at the time of the trade, somebody had said that they would have had to have gone essentially 40-20 the rest of the season. It's not impossible, but the playoff hopes are rough.
But they bought Berrios for next year too, and they've got a lot of pitching issues, and Berrios' timeline is still right. I mean, the Blue Jays are super, super young. They got nothing out of George Springer this year. Do they bring Simeon back, or do they look for a slightly less expensive alternative? I mean, the Blue Jays are set up very nice for next year. It looks bad right now, perhaps, but it's really interesting. I was reading an article today on either ESPN or The Athletic, and it was talking about how for the first time in years, teams did not hold on to their prospects the way that we've seen. And it just seemed like, and I mean, when I saw Austin Martin was part of that deal, and it was rumored that Joey Bart might have been part of the Chris Bryant trade at first, and there was a lot of names being floated around that ended up not changing hands. But Ruiz, the Dodgers gave up a lot of their catching depth at the deadline, and for the people that speculate in this hobby, there were names being traded over the past few days that I don't believe, those first Bowman Chrome cards are now already out of date. And that typically, how many times have we talked about that on the show? Never, because the top prospects aren't moving that quick.
Well, and then so even not even so much the prospects, but the quote unquote superstars of the sport. It's being talked about in chat, and I tipped in myself. But Tatis Jr. has dislocated his shoulder 3 times this year.
He's the Stephen Loeffler of the MLB.
The third, me as a third baseman, essentially. I mean, I get it. I know all about shoulder issues. But it seems like anytime it's even remotely within whatever range of motion, pop, there it goes. And he's had to change his batting stance. He's had to change his fielding style. It starts to take a toll once you become 33, 34, 35.
Yeah.
Well, if you saw that play where he slid into third base and how his arm
instantly
hit the
knew
ground,
what happened was. Yeah,
but it
didn't look like a triangle, and then it goes, and there it goes.
Yeah, you see guys do that.
Steph?
You see a dozen times a game, guys sliding into base and stuff like that happens. Sure. That play wasn't so. It's not like he hit the ground hard per se. It's not like he ran into a teammate or a guy on the base pass. Collision at home plate with the catcher. It's like he just slid and had his arm out. If it's that sensitive, yeah. And then the other thing too, we already know he's not a defensive stalwart at the old shortstop, so his future might be in the American League as
first
Nelson
base,
Cruz
DH
2.0.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, with these injuries, especially shoulders. The first time it goes out or the first time it gets injured, you become more injury prone going forward. The first dislocation of mine, it was a freak accident, but now, I mean, my last dislocation was grabbing a bag of the.
Concrete. Say concrete, so we feel better for you.
No. The
concrete with my three
the
fingers.
brown wafers that comes in Chex Mix.
What were you doing?
Separately.
Yeah, the right chips. What were you doing? Not eating the Whataburger.
I was trying to eat healthy. I grabbed the bag off the counter. My shoulder came towards me, and there it goes, out again. No, but that's the thing. It's for somebody that's supposed to be the superstar of the sport for the next decade, he kind of has to stay together.
Yep. So it's funny. Joey Gallo got traded real quick, and we're going to move on to the next topic. But sure. I know the trading deadline was a big thing, but it includes collecting. And the point I wanted to make is that within 25 minutes of Gallo getting traded from the Rangers to the Yankees, I had those silver packs you get in the jumbo boxes, right? I had from Series 1 a Joey Gallo autograph orange one out of 25. And I had it on eBay since February when Series 1 came out. And I lowered it 6-8 weeks ago to $50 or best offer.
Sure.
Within 25 minutes of the trade, someone in New Jersey bought that card. And I'm just like they didn't want it yesterday, but this person sure wanted it today, and I was more than happy to provide it. But I just find that funny. It's instantly now everybody's like, oh, I want to get these guys cards on my team. And I understand that, but it just kind of opens up, like you said, the first Bowman stuff. Mm-hmm. Really, if the guy has not debuted yet, with Gallo, it doesn't matter because he'd been a Ranger for a while. So even that his first Bowman stuff is still going to be kind of cool, maybe to Yankee collectors if he hangs around. But with Austin Martin, it kind of loses its luster a little bit. Do you think it kind of loses its luster if the guy doesn't debut with the team he has his first Bowman on and debuts later on for somebody else? Do you think that first Bowman loses a little bit of luster versus somebody else that maybe debuts with that team?
It does. I mean, I'd rather have somebody that we drafted. In theory, if we're a good team and know how to develop players, I'd rather have it from with the mocked up single A of our team versus, Adrian Beltre's Dodger cards or somebody else where, okay, yeah, it's nice, but not many Rangers fans want a card from 1998 with the Dodger logo.
Yeah. I've mentioned this about waiting to buy prospect cards after they've become an established quantity, entity at the major league level, right? That, personally, using my own personal experience, going back and buying Matt Chapman's 2014 Bowman Chrome auto in 2018, 2019, now that he's been in the majors for a year or two. And some of the more recent A's, like Jesus Luzardo's, would have been with the Washington Nationals, and Stephen Piscotty's would have been with the Cardinals. And I think it, at least for me, and I know other collectors as well, that desirability isn't quite there. I mean, Steph, that Byron Buxton was a huge guy in whatever year his was, 2013, but it's a Twins card, and he's still with the Twins. Are you going to go out and start adding a bunch of Austin Martin cards to your Twins PC? Some people want to collect the player, some people want to collect the logo, and buying the low end stuff's different, right? You want to go buy the low end stuff, his first edition and his Bowman Chrome, sure, but you're probably not going to go out as quickly and buy his Bowman Chrome auto for the simple fact that, I mean, how many guys got traded that were like, whoa, that guy got traded? Austin Martin was just one example. Jared Kelenic and so many that we can name that have been traded over the last 3-4 seasons. I don't know that the team acquired, but to your point, Tim, it was interesting. I saw it on Facebook scrolling through the other day. All of the names in the trades are showing up in the Facebook card groups. Do you have any, Rizzos and Gallos? And it's like, you didn't want these yesterday. Why do you want them now? And what happens in the offseason 2 months from now when Rizzo signs with the Red Sox or goes back to the Cubs? Do you still want those Rizzos?
Oh, I'm sorry. And the chat says a 98 Morton Anderson beat the Vikings. Was that after those years? I don't know what is that in reference to, but Dub just punched Steph through the internet.
I might have Ron Ganted him.
Man,
get a room, you two.
No, I agree. I just think it's very interesting. Again, I like one of my favorite autographs I have is a Will Myers first Bowman Chrome of the Royals, and the reason being is I was really excited for him to come up. Like he was going to be a stud with the Royals, and he was going to be part of that Hosmer Moustakas. You know, they were going to be like, and he was like the third guy of this. He was going to be one of the big three. But he ended up getting traded for Shields, and anyway, helped us win a World Series.
So real quick,
but it's still one of my favorite cards, and I wouldn't move it because he got traded. It's still a Royals autograph. It's still a Royals card. I'm okay with it. So
the only stuff I get rid of that when a player like Addison Russell goes to the Cubs, I'm not moving his stuff until you realize what kind of POS Russell became. That's a different story, but he's an example of that dredge of society that's just a disgusting human being. But I'm not trading any of my Jesus Luzardo stuff.
Yeah, you have to PC one guy exclusively. Addison Russell or Derek Norris.
Derek Norris, because I think that guy was just more of a tool with what he said versus the fact that Addison Russell now has a rap sheet. I don't know that Norris does. I think he was just an idiot. But just real quick before we move on, since we were talking, hey, Maxwell is a nice guy. He was you remember when that kid lost his home and all of his collection up here in the Bay Area fires, Santa Rosa, a couple years ago? Bruce Maxwell gave him a jersey and played catch with him at the East facility. And I think Maxwell just caught up in that whole negative press and, without getting political, he was the first baseball player to take a knee, if you don't remember, and it didn't go well.
But didn't he get like all liquored up and like something to the pizza delivery guy? And
he had a gun on his lap or something when he got pulled over.
Oh, that's
so yeah. He was
it's better than, was it Toronto's catcher that was doing some stuff in a
McGuire,
Walmart parking lot? Yeah,
was handling business.
Just real quick though, Alex Visioni, I think is how you pronounce his last name. He's one of our friends of the show, listens all the time. He pulled a Griffey auto out of Gypsy Queen and then stopped at the local Walgreens, found a Bowman Mega. And I think it was the day before, and I don't know if you guys can see this. It's the gold. Sure. Sorry, the cameras are backwards on StreamYard, so I do apologize for those watching. But it's the Austin Martin gold first Bowman out of the Mega. And it's like, what good timing, because obviously his name is going to be in the hobby conversation. Not as if it wasn't already. It is now that he got traded. And so he might be looking to sell that if you're in the market for that. But good pull for him, and definitely good pull at the right time, since Martin's market was perhaps shifting as Minnesota Twins fans all of a sudden were perhaps taking a look at. And again, a lot. It's hard to say. It just takes one guy, one collector out there that wants to speculate. And a lot of it also depends, too. Let's go back to the conversation before we move on real quick. Joey Bart gets traded in the offseason straight up for whoever, and all of a sudden his star might be a little brighter on his new team than in San Francisco, where he is blocked at the moment by a multitude of players. You want to move him off to first base, you've got Brandon Belt there. And
catchers is such a hard collectible position. It's probably, as far as pitcher, it's like catchers and pitchers are right there, because a lot of times they don't become super offensive producers. Even the best ones, they're still not as collectible for whatever reason. I think in this last 20 years of baseball, with Molina and Salvador Perez and Maurer and Posey and some of the catchers we've seen, when they first maybe popped, they were, especially like Posey and Maurer, they commanded a big dollar.
Mm-hmm.
But these other guys, they people collect Molina, people collect Posey and all this stuff, but people much rather have we've talked about this before, the prospect catcher. And it's like, guys, like these guys are the best of the best. These are Hall of Fame caliber players that have won World Series, that have been all these things, have all these awards, all these accolades.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't command the same dollar. So what do you think this prospect is going to bring back to you?
Well, I mean, catching as in general is just underrated. Between, okay, sure, they might hit 220 to 210, but the play calling behind the scenes to the statistics for being a catcher is still evolving. As an outfielder, you want home runs, you want RBIs, you want somewhat of an average. Okay, sure, and it's easy to track that, and even your fielding range and whatnot. But for the catcher, some of that stuff's just it's incomprehensible as far as pitch framing and
they don't get the love. They don't get hobby love.
Definitely.
So anyway, speaking of hobby love, 2021 Topps National Baseball Card Day. The checklist is out, and there's some stadium giveaways as well. So Cracknell's got a link to that. We'll send that out, but we'll cover some stuff here. It takes place this Saturday, August 7th. That means an exclusive set of cards, free packs, and an excuse to visit the card shop. Those that go to participating stores from the Topps list will receive a free pack of 5 cards. Inside is a promo set. Every MLB team is represented on the 30-card checklist. Yep. It's stars with names like Fernando Tatis, not Francisco Tatis, Mike Trout, Ronald Acuna, Vlad Guerrero Jr. The main set has 30, while the final 2 cards, it'll come to 32 total. The cards and the packs are free. Yep. However, there's a promotion that's meant to support shops, so there's 2 additional cards that you get with a purchase on August 7th. The second, the card is a second Fernando Tatis Jr. Mm-hmm. And if you go back on the 14th, a week later, you will have the opportunity to get an Alex Baum card. So,
yep. Star of today, good. Rookie of the future. Star of the future.
There are also stadium giveaways. The National Baseball Card Day is more than just the shop. The broader promotion expands to MLB Parks between July 25th and August 15th. Almost every team will be offering some kind of card giveaway. The Toronto Blue Jays, who just returned in Canada to play, and the New York Yankees are the only teams that don't have stadium giveaways. Cards are handed out at ballparks are different. They are team-focused with 5 cards each. And I don't know if you saw it.
Okay, and there it is again.
Sorry about that, guys.
I think I caught it. It happened to us last week.
Yeah, and I shot over in our DMs. I don't know if you saw them, Ben, but somebody had some of the A's cards already.
Yeah, I didn't know that there was a Laureano on there, it's cool that they do these. It's another thing to collect. I know we talked about there perhaps being a 11 card or 11 releases next week across all the different sports. It's just one more thing, not including the Topps On Demand 3D that's dropping and, your week-to-week stuff. There's a lot out there, but it's cool. Anytime you're doing, stadium giveaways, that's awesome because there aren't very many of that kind of stuff for cards anymore.
How rare are those going to be?
Well, yeah, I mean, we have we went to one of the ones that the Rangers did here, and the ladies were mostly handing them out to everyone, but they also gave extras to kids, knowing that's the idea behind the promotion. And I mean, between the two of us, and scored 2 packs each, then maybe that's what they're intended to give out. But they have an extra couple of cards per pack that's meant and intended for you to trade them off to finish the set. Because it's like a 12, 15, 17 card set if you get all of them. And there's only 5 or 6 in each stadium giveaway pack. So I love the idea.
Yeah, there was somebody that sent me the Royals team set a couple years ago.
Okay, so these good. The new Eric Cap ones that they did at certain stadiums a few years back, bad. These good.
I think I have one or two of those.
I made a trade with Bo that he wrote a blog about because they were only in certain stadiums, and so I was reaching out on Twitter like, if anybody pulls these, there were two separate cards, one of which I was able to pick up on eBay, and I said, if anybody has the other one, it's a Ricky Henderson, I'll buy it from you. And this is when I still had a bunch of inventory that was just sitting around, and he's like, this one? I'm like, that one. And he's like, what do you have to trade? And I was like, I got a stack of Cubs. And he's like, done. And so he wrote a blog about the time he traded 391 Cubs cards incoming for one outgoing Oakland A. And at the end of the day, it was a fair trade because I just had to pay for shipping and roughly the right cost of what it would have cost me probably to pick up that card on eBay when it popped. But the problem was they were scarce because there were only a dozen stadiums.
Yeah, 10 or 12, and then you had to go in and like ask for them or buy them. Like I know the Giants had some weird internet promo ones that were.
You should talk to your buddy, the best Ben, the good one as he's labeled on my phone, Cardboard Icons, about the Levi's Workshop Giants.
Yeah. He hooked me up with the Taco Bell Steel cards too, because those are available in like the World Series, and he was down in LA one of the World Series.
Okay.
And with the Red Sox Dodgers World Series, and he got I think both of there was a Royal and a Giant, and he got I think both of those for me. So
nice.
Anyway, more stuff's coming from Topps Finest Basketball. So Detlef Shrimp tweets out Sunday morning card signing, and good old Detlef is signing a bunch of Topps Finest cards with a picture of him, and it's not like a jersey or anything. But he's not the only person we've seen basketball players signing Topps Finest. Now, a couple years ago, Tyler Hero, we saw signing Topps Finest cards or Topps Chrome cards, and Topps said, "Hey, wait, we'll see what's happening," and then nothing happened. We even asked him at the National, and then nothing happened. And we'll see if this something.
Be
happens.
Interesting to see what comes of that. I wonder. It's essentially their response,
or if it comes with the wood minis. Here's the picture. So,
so you got your the box protection, but then the autographs and kind of a very rainbowy background. I would wonder and maybe venture to guess whether these are employee released, whether the employees are given much like some of the other card companies where, hey, end of year, here's 10 of these, 5 of these, whatnots. Be interesting to see. And Tim apparently stepped out. Tim,
he's back.
Oh, he's back. He went to grab something.
Yeah, I'm trying to be Steph on the fly here, and I can't.
Well, that's because you're not me, and you shouldn't bother to try. And no, I do not have stubs on my desk.
If you have to get up out of your chair to grab something, that is so dial-up internet. Steph is living in satellite.
I picked this up last week. Look at how awesome Detlef looked as a rookie with the Mavs.
He was a man, dude. He was an awesome Sonic.
Look at that.
Look at the hairdo.
By the way, it also real quick. I just want to show off some cards real quick. Stockton,
nice finger.
Yeah, the nail's about to fall off. Reggie, here. There you go.
That's better.
Scotty. This one was cool. Mark Price.
Nice.
Some 80s All-Stars I picked up some rookie cards of. But no, I just I had to find it because I was just like, dude, that Detlef card was he looked too awesome not to show.
There was a video game, I think it was on Super Nintendo, NBA Live 95 or something like that. It was one of the early NBA Live releases. And Mark Price had perfect free throw rating, obviously. And I remember sitting there one day just trying to get the computer. Like, I'm controlling him. I was trying to miss the free throws on purpose with Price, and no matter how much you did that bar as it went over and up, you could be as far off as possible, and he'd still hit it. And it's just like, that's incredible.
He was awesome. Price was dope, dude.
He was great. Him and what was the other dude?
Brad Doherty.
No, the other guard. There you go, Elo. Yeah.
And they also had Steve Kerr. Like they had these awesome 3 white, and they had Hot Plate. Remember they had John Hot Rod Williams, and then the other guy was John Hot Plate Williams because he was fat. Larry Nance Sr.
They had some good guys, yeah.
Yeah, those Cavs teams were fun to watch. Too bad Jordan just took them out all the time.
Sometimes it's just the wrong era, right?
Yep.
It's just you have a great team, and it's just unfortunate that you happen to play when they played.
Grading is a scam still, fellas. At Certified Cards tweets out the Juan Soto 2016 Bowman Chrome Orange Refractor autograph, numbered to 25, has a population report of 34, and that's just on BGS's website.
So
reminder
there
that you
are
can
34,
send back
25.
Yeah, he says reminder that you can send back cracked out labels to the companies. That way they might actually see what the true pop report is. Not that anybody's ever going to do that. But I also looked at PSA. PSA has 5 of them graded. So now we're up to 39 graded Soto Orange autographs out of 25. And we talked about this. Like they don't give, not all of these are usually released. The Topps usually does not release all 25 of them in circulation.
You may be lucky if they release 20 of these.
And then you also have to think there's some sealed wax of this.
Sure. So
and then on top
17.
of that, no one is going to be grading. Not everyone is going to be grading this card.
So 15.
So yeah. So there's probably legitimately 12 to 15 copies of this card. So they've all been graded 3 times.
Give or take, sure.
That seems unlikely. That you're saying every card.
Times?
Yeah, you're saying that every card that got graded, and let's assume it's half the print run, so let's call it 13, 14, got graded more than once. I mean, who's continuously gonna? And you're sending it to the same company too, because one has 34 and the other has 5.
Yeah,
well, and especially since these are serial numbered, do you think that they would be able to say, okay,
that's
9 of 25, beep, boop, delete from the pop, here it is again. Boop, there it is.
Why would it get a new grade? Like, what's going to change on the card after it's been encapsulated? It doesn't get any better with age.
No, It's like, at what point does PSA call this guy and go, hey, Tim, stop. We've graded this card 8 times. It's not getting better than a 9.
But what I'm saying, this whole thing right now tells you that Beckett, with the grading, they weren't keeping track of the serial. They didn't give a shit. They just wanted the money to grade the cards, and it was just like, whatever, we'll keep grading the same card over and over again. What do we care? And what happens is say I got the card and I got it graded and came back an 8.5, right? So now it's not a 9 or 10, and Ben comes by my table at the show and he buys it. Well, he looks at it, and with his grading eye, he goes, oh, I know that's at least a 9.5. I'm going to crack it and resubmit it. It comes back, it gets a 9. So Ben's like, awesome, I came up from an 8.5 to a 9, so I'm going to make some more money. Now Soto's really taken off. I'm now going to put it out on eBay. Steph buys it. He thinks this is great, but guess what? Steph talks to his buddies, and they look it over, and they go, man, I think that's a 9.5 or a 10, dude. You need to crack that and resubmit it. Steph cracks it, resubmits it, gets a 9 again. That card just got graded 3 times.
But
I've heard people doing this. I've seen videos where guys getting submissions back, and they go, oh, this card got an 8. I'm cracking that. I'm going to resend that in and see what I can get on. I'll send it to another company and see what I can get graded. Or I'll send it back to them unknowing to them and say, hey, let's regrade this card, and they don't know it's being regraded.
But if 12 of these, 14 of these cards actually got pulled and were submitted initially for grading, therefore your pop report should be 12 to 14. And then with a couple getting resubbed, maybe it jumps to 16 to 18. We're saying that based on the numbers, all of them that got pulled, I mean, even if all 25 did get pulled and all 25 got graded, half of them got resubbed. I mean, it just seems like that's an amazing statistical anomaly. And no wonder these companies, no wonder grading companies are popping up left and right like weeds in the backyard, because everybody is like, hey, wait a minute. These knuckleheads are going to submit and same card.
Yeah.
If that's legitimate and those numbers are accurate and these cards are being resubmitted, maybe we as a hobby collectively should take a look in the mirror and say, what are we doing, guys and gals?
Stop it. Get some help.
Well, here we go. So
It's
Golden
time, it's
Auctions
time.
tweeted this out. There are now over 17,500 PSA 10s, so just PSA, of Luka's 2018 Panini Prism base card. This is the second most PSA 10s of any card in existence, only eclipsed by the 2019 Zion Prism. They later came back and said it's actually third. The Ronald Acuna 2018 Topps Update card has over 18,000 PSA 10 copies. So, guys, my question here is, how valuable is your PSA 10 Luka, Zion, or Acuna card now? You have to hit the search, and you can see all of. You just got to type in Soto. How valuable is that? Are those three cards now that you know that number? Like that number 18. That's a lot of tens, and takes you back to like the junk wax era. Correct? Is that just me?
When you, I remember it being in a small LCS years ago here locally. It was the one off of Folsom Boulevard, Tim. I think Sports Card Mania is what it was called, or something.
It was a good little store.
Good little store. The guy had some really good prices on wax. Ended up going out of business a few years. I think he worked for the post office. I don't think it was his only source of income. I think he was retired. But I remember being in there talking to him. I bought all my wall plaques in my hallway from him, or most of them. And a guy walks in with a binder of junk wax air, and he's like, "Hey, what do you give me for this?" And you could see the yellows of 91 Fleer and the reds of 90 Donruss. And Jim's like, "I'm not giving you anything. It's not worth anything." Because what do you mean? And he opens up the binder, and he's like, McGuire and Griffey and Bonds and Ripken and Nolan Ryan. He goes, "What do you mean it's not worth anything?" And that's indicative of the junk wax era summed up in one binder, right? If you have 10 of them and I have 10 of them, I don't want your 10. I'm still trying to get rid of my 10. And that's what happened to that era of collecting, was everybody had so many of them due to oversaturation and overproduction that there were no more buyers. And in this case, it's going to be the same thing. You're already looking at a finite. You have to be a basketball collector in order to really be interested in one of these, or you have to be a rookie card collector, and then you have to want a graded one, and then you have to want a graded 10, and then you have to be able to financially afford one, whether it's for a PC item or a speculation play, doesn't matter. You still have to come out of pocket today. And so the more variables, you know, when you start to get these line items, the amount of people that are in the market for it gets smaller and smaller and smaller with every new variable added. And then it's just one of those things that if there's 17,000 of these, you know what, I'll wait out the market. If I ever need a Luka graded 10, I'll wait. And I'll wait until the price plummets.
How much of this has been produced? We talked about this. It's not like 12, 13 Panini Prism or 11, 12 Panini Prism, right? When it was limited production, there are so many SKUs of this stuff available. Look at the 2021 Prism stuff. Like the Target ones are just now hitting. There are so many variations and options to buy Panini Prism basketball and football that these cards, like, I understand are sought after and people want to collect them, and I get it because I'm one of those guys. But at a certain point in time, you have to understand that in a handful of years, you're gonna, like, we see these numbers now in plain sight. That's just tens from one grading company.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous the amount that are out there and the amount that they're going for. I think people are just. If I had a 10 right now, I'd sell it and maybe go buy a raw one and pocket the rest of the money.
Well, that's it. You know, to your point on overproduction, it's extremely telling that these three cards, the three most that PSA has ever graded, have all been since 2018.
Well, if you take a look at this, how many cards, Steph, if you can look it up real quick, were in the base set for 18 Panini Prism?
100?
How many?
300.
Were there 300? So if you look at this and say, okay, these are just 10s, and this is just PSA, how many 9.5s and 9s are there for people that are trying to chase a 10? How many raw I mean, easily you could say there are close to 100,000, if not more, that were graded at all. Period.
We did
Before
this
we get
number
to
with
Raw.
Zion, or
Yeah.
the number
Yeah.
of Zion and Luke a couple weeks ago. It was like,
yeah, and then you multiply it by the amount of people in the subjects on the checklist, and then multiply it by the amount of different parallels there are per card, and we're talking about not millions of cards that had to be produced. We're talking about tens of millions, and guess what? We still haven't talked about any of the autographs and the hits, and all of those respective parallels and inserts, and before you know it, we're getting into the hundreds of millions of cards produced just by 2018 Panini Prism, as if that's not one of 100 different products. And that's why we say this is a Junk Wax Era 2.0. We're literally outlining it without sitting down in an Excel spreadsheet and doing the math to outline, which I did for Series 1. It's ridiculous.
Well, hey, all I got to say is that I have 3 Luku Prism Raw rookies, and Brian Murphy doesn't have any. So
yes,
he's sending me some text right now.
Yeah. How many PS3s do you have?
I have 1 PS3.
Well, there's a guy out there that has 5 PS5s. So
that's awesome. Here we go. Preach KO, preach baby. PS5. Keith Olbermann tweeted out, "You don't put any weight in card grading, do you? It's idiocy. Oh, gee, I can't even read. Idiocy. It's done by people who know nothing of cards or conditions. It encourages and not eliminates dishonesty and misrepresentation." So Keith's just being like, don't put any weight in card grade. I agree, bro. Like,
he made my Christmas list with this tweet.
Ben's buddy JB at Old Town Cards. I mean, he's always good for a line.
Old Town.
He says, laughing out loud, laughing my ass off. A booming market with billions of dollars at play says otherwise. But again,
he's literally making Keith's point for him. The whole point is it's propped up artificially by these smoke and mirrors and this magic and unicorn parts, things that don't exist, based on the fact that people are grading. That guy JB, I mean, like him, don't like him, whatever. That guy had also said something today about investing in conversations, and he's like, it's one of the dumbest 3 conversations you could have, and it's like, anyway, that guy JB's a knucklehead. And
I'm just saying, like, my whole thing.
Keith is right.
Yeah, he is, and the thing is I to be honest, because there's no, it's the grading is so subjective from grading company to grading company, right? The only thing I believe that grading should be used for is authenticity. And it comes back and your card gets authenticated as saying, yes, this is an original production card. It's an authentic card. There you go. Now it's encapsulated for you.
Here's the card number. Here's the...
Yeah. And then after that, they don't have to grade it. And Rich Frank here agrees. I'm assuming that's Rich because unless he switched over to Nina. But that's the thing with me. It's like it says it's authentic. So like the cards that people are trying to, do the reprints of, like the Jordan rookie or Mantles or whatever, you can come back and go, yeah, you know what, mine's authentic. And then I look at the card and then I grade it to myself going, okay, I prefer really sharp corners. I don't really, the centering doesn't matter as long as the corners are sharp. Or, hey, I really prefer sharp, really good centering. And if the corners are a little soft or there's a ding or something, I'm okay with that because I prefer that centering look of the card. Or, hey, there's a wax stain on the back. Like, I don't care that it's there because it's on the back of the card. Whatever way you want to look at the cards, then it's graded to you and it met your standards.
Well, exactly. I mean, I was talking to a guy here, and he's at the time I'd only had my graded Killer Brew. He goes, "Well, you know that I have one, right? But I mean, it's not one that would grade well, and it's not really one that you'd like per se." I'm like, "What does it closely at all resemble a square and its original image?" I was like, "No, actually, it's pretty nice looking. The colors are all there. I mean, maybe a slight issue on register or whatnot." But a ding here, there's no creases, there's no writing on it. I'm like, okay, but that's the type of card I want. I can send it off for grading and have it verified, and I don't need to. I know who it is. But that's the type of card that I want or need. It's not. I'm not looking for a PSA 10 black label, BGS black label as we're. And I think what Mark here said is particularly poignant. Look at how many people spent thousands, millions of dollars on Cabbage Patch dolls. Okay, there's plenty of money there. Doesn't mean that it wasn't any less stupid.
Beanie Babies, King Griffey Jr. cards, Jose Canseco card. I love what's going on in the chat. Just awesome talk. Buy the card, not the grade. Probably the greatest piece of advice. The When's the Cup said that, but I've also heard,
those back pages.
That buy 9s, not 10s. Like sell 10s, buy 9s. Right? Some of the greatest lines out there. You think about it until whenever I get a graded card, crack it, man. Like except for the Brett thing I did, that's it. Everything else has been cracked open, and it belongs where it does. So there's been some illegal online raffles. Our buddy
allegedly,
Ryan
maybe.
Sports Card News tweets out allegedly a moderator of Sports Card Scammer Exposed, Ron Marion, was charged with running an illegal online raffle and pays up to 5 years in prison.
Do you care if I read this one? Because I love this point.
Go.
In particular, so on September 4th, 2020, Special Agent B. Roddy with the Minnesota Department of Public Safety received a report of an illegal online raffle for a vehicle on Facebook. The reporting party, Eric Purcell, stated the raffle, or RAS, was done on a private Facebook group 3 times and was conducted by Ron Stephen Marion. Purcell reported the prize was listed as a 2013 Dodge Challenger, and each entry was $10. Purcell said the drawing was done 3 times, and each time Marion would claim the drawing was screwed up, and the prize was never awarded. Special Agent Roddy viewed the screen captures of the Facebook page, and what she saw was consistent with what Purcell had reported. She reported she called Marion on September 16th, 2020, and he said he did own a Dodge Challenger and had a $17,000 to $18,000 lien still on the vehicle. He said he wanted to get rid of the car, so he decided to raffle it off. Special Agent Roddy reported that that Marion told her the spots were selling at $10 each, and the raffle was posted to a private Facebook group called Scammers Exposed. Special Agent Roddy said Marion admitted to running the raffle 3 times, declared a winner each time. However, he never awarded the card because he felt the male running these selections screwed up, making the raffle null and void. Marion also stated he knew the raffle was illegal. Yeah, okay. Get a lawyer. Never admit anything to a special agent.
Up, you idiot.
In the Facebook post, Marion asked the Facebook group to give him until September 21st, 2020 to refund all entries. Special Agent Roddy also served a search warrant for Marion's PayPal account and found there were approximately 768 transactions from August 22nd, 2020 to September 13th, 2020, and all were in increments of $10 ranging from $10 to $700. Special Agent Roddy served a search warrant on Marion's Verizon wireless cell phone number to see what cell site came back from his phone from 9/1/2020 to 10/1/2020. She received a search warrant and found Marion had been living in Grand Forks, North Dakota, 45-minute drive from my hometown. At these time, the raffles were conducted online. There's probable cause to believe that the person named did indeed commit the crime of engaging in the business of gambling by conducting a lottery on Facebook while located in Grand Forks, North Dakota, selling entries for $10, each for a chance to win a 2013 Dodge Challenger. Congrats. You played yourself. And that's the point that I wanted to read. That was one. I haven't been stumbling through my words like Tim has, but that's so close to my hometown, and the fact that
that's why you wanted to read it.
Well,
Funny.
Okay, so unlike you guys that are in California, where a 45-minute drive means you can hit 3 different major cities, it's situated in the middle of nowhere. But also the fact that Homeboy was running a Scammers Exposed page, or at least posting to said Scammers Exposed page, and is a scammer.
Okay, so So the scammers group was ran by not only Ron Marion, but also Drew Herndon, Chris Gilmore, and a few other people. And if you know anything about any of those individuals, the irony of the fact that these individuals were running a scammers group just makes it so hilarious. There's a lot of shadiness going around we talked about Chris Gilmore a long time ago and the nonsense he had with bulk grading submissions, and he and a guy named Chris Moose basically stole money allegedly, and there was lawsuits going on there, and it's like, you guys run a scammers group.
Hey, guys, the reason I'm leaving the pod is to start my own card cleaning company.
Oh, okay. You're gonna be the card doctor.
See,
if you're familiar with that, the fact that he ended up getting popped and the fact that he admitted to it is it's so apropos. It's absolutely, it's like a coronation of idiocy, and it's brilliant. And when I read that the other day, when Colin and Ryan posted that, it was just like, if I had popcorn handy, I didn't even want to pop some popcorn because I just wanted to dig in. It's like a good book. It's like a cliffhanger at the end of season 3, going in on your favorite show, and you just can't wait for episode 1 of season 4, and here it is, and it's just as glorious as you thought it was going to be. And that makes me smile every time I think about it.
Yep. So Forbes put an article about our buddy, good old T-Mac, Tracy McGrady, Hall of Famer, is going to launch an app to sell trading cards, sneakers, and other memorabilia. As part of the article says, as McGrady's gotten older, he realized that companies and promoters that organize the sessions likely make a good amount of money as well. Although how much is a mystery because there's no transparency. And so McGrady is intrigued when Dubray Black, a friend and entrepreneur, approached McGrady last year about selling items directly to consumers. That was the genesis behind Social, an app that McGrady and Black are launching through, which anyone can buy about 80 items that McGrady has signed. The memorabilia includes trading cards, 8x10s, from McGrady's playing days, basketballs, sneakers that McGrady has never sold before. And for now, the app only has McGrady memorabilia, but Black notes that he expects other former and current professional athletes to sell their gear through the app. Social will earn a small fee for each transaction, but the athletes will get nearly all of the proceeds. Black hopes to someday create non-fungible tokens, NFTs, for athletes and sell them on Social too.
So I've never understood how, or rather why, more athletes didn't go this route themselves. I know that there's a certain portion that Topps and all these other companies pay the athletes per card. It's usually not much. However, I've seen, Fran Tarkenton, for example, on his website, he has autographed stuff that you can buy directly from him that you don't need certification from Beckett or anyone else verifying that, yes, this is who it is. No offense to TriStar. Love some of the shows and the athletes that are able to get. However, these younger guys, and especially the athletes popping up like Tracy McGrady, speaking of Houston, with TriStar there, just really surprised you don't see that more. Just a bunch of athletes getting together and saying, why are we taking less money from you when we can get more ourselves?
Like anything, yeah. Check back in 6 months, check back in a year. We'll look in at the progress and see them working. Hey, why not try?
Well, and if it involves shoes and stuff too, that brings in a whole nother market, especially if
I think that's shoes the idea behind the name of the app, Soul, like the soul of a shoe. Sure.
I should have probably put this higher up in the notes with the Ron Marion story there, but there were some thieves at the National. Checklist for Us tweets out, this was stolen from a booth at the National from a fellow collector. If you see it, contact me and I'll relay it to the owner. So it was a BGS serial card, graded card of Giannis, a Prism Giannis card, 9.5, a great looking card. And so there was the serial number on there, and we'll share that. But, okay, so it's not a numbered card, but it is a serial number card. So the only way you could really probably resell that now without people kind of knowing is like, hey, was it cracked? Unless it goes in your private collection for a while. DMzilla, which is kind of a cool name, Well, due to taking my eyes off my card carrying case for a minute, someone stole about $2,000 in cards from me after I stepped away from a booth and turned back. Stupid mistake. There was a Tatis Dynasty Auto, Charizard Hollow, PSA 7, Bo Bichette Bowman Auto 9.5 that was in there. There's some photos of the cards. And he has a feeling who might have taken it but wasn't sure, didn't, I guess, make contact there. That sucks. Someone goes and grabs your case as you walk away. But the best one here is Epic Feliz tweets out, "Don't steal at the NSC show. Second update, the officer told me that he had about 50 raw cards in his bag. He would walk up by the tables, grab a few to look, and then drop some in his bag. Greedy MF." The stolen ball was made it more obvious. So there's some rest of the footage. I think everybody on Twitter saw this. It was a man in a blue polo and some khaki shorts with glasses, and the video is dope because
sure enough, he's got a ball on his hand.
Okay, yeah, there you go. The video is awesome because people are just like getting up, and a Wizard of Albies tweeted out, "Here's some up close footage of today's national thief getting arrested. Was going booth to booth, stealing a few cards at a time, ended up with about 50 cards in the backpack before he finally got caught."
So, because this has video here, let me pause.
Yeah, so Steph's gonna pull up the audio.
Stop screen share.
This is really, I mean, it's up, and the guys are like on just feel like there's so many guys around him filming this. It's awesome.
You an airhead ass motherfucker, bro. Straight up. Stealing from kids, bro. We do this shit for a living, you dumb fuck.
Come on, guys. And they're like, "We just want a picture of his face."
Apologies.
But at least he's wearing his mask, right?
Yeah. Apologies on the language, definitely. But he's wearing a mask. I mean, smart guy. If I'm going to rob a place, I'm going to wear a mask.
Did you guys see the cringiest video that came out of the National?
Oh, that guy rubbing on that girl's hands?
Yeah, so there's a young lady there selling cards, and this dude's
downright creepy.
Yeah, he's like, "Hold my hands," and then he starts singing Bon Jovi's "Living on a Prayer," and he's like, "We're halfway there," and she was so probably like mortified by this dude, and it's like, this is why there aren't more women in the hobby, because knuckleheads like this make it difficult. And not that I can speak from experience, of course, being a man myself, but there's so many women that I saw a young lady on my Twitter timeline today talking about, if one more guy mansplains this portion of the hobby, I've been around just as long as you and probably know more than you. And I feel bad for a lot of the females out there, and that come into a hobby that's dominated by men, that's always been known as a male hobby, and it's open to everybody of every shape and size and color and age, and I felt bad when I watched that video. I was like, oh dear Lord, this guy.
Yeah, that was terrible. Mm-hmm. But overall, I mean, I didn't get to talk about it last week. I know you guys probably covered it quite a bit, but the National it looked to be pretty spectacular. I had some buddies that went. I'm gonna see him tomorrow. I'm gonna ask them how they did. They always have booths there, and I kind of want to see what it was like from their point of view. But it's an AC next year. I'm like, dude, there's no way. I'm going from the stories I heard about AC and like getting there from here. I heard it's just not a great, because you can't fly into AC. You have to find Philly or somewhere and drive in, or Newark or something. I don't know. So I am planning definitely to be in Chicago, but it looked in 2023. It looked awesome. Looked like a lot of people had some fun. Lots of good stuff. I just hate reporting on the stolen stuff. I mean, it's just, guys, be careful. I mean, there are some really amazing people. I would say in life, there's a lot of amazing people, but there's just a few scumbags that ruin it for everybody. And man, at the end of the day, it's trading cards. Like,
I mean, imagine going to the Popo and what are you in here for?
Chicago.
Yeah. I'm in here for drugs. I'm in here for murder. I'm in here for, not that we endorse any of that stuff, but at least it's a big boy crime. And this dude's over in the corner like, yeah, I stole some trading cards. It's like,
yeah, I stole some dollar cards over here.
Well, and I mean, there are obviously more serious crimes that are taken a whole lot more offensive to inmates, but theft is definitely up there. It's not the best crime. But then when they ask, okay, well, what did you steal? At least was it a car? Was it a?
Yeah, we're not trying to. I mean, we're making light of a very serious situation because
definitely,
to add a little sarcasm and humor. So we don't mean to offend anybody out there that might be listening.
Like, you're like,
but
dude, like who's like? I asked my wife. I said, "Hey, listen, if I went to Chicago and I got arrested for stealing basically," she goes, "You would just live there, and I would divorce you, and I would take everything you have, and I would burn all of your cards, and the kids would forget what your name was."
I mean, yeah, it's like to think about this, right? On a Monday or Tuesday, you're planning on going to the National. I don't know how many people walk through that door, but there was tens of thousands of people. Obviously, a lot of repeat individuals from day to day. But 10,000, tens of thousands of bodies, maybe 100,000 people, if you count the same person more than once. And on there I am. I'm going to go there. I'm looking for such and such, or I'm there to try to meet certain people, or go to certain booths and listen to the Topps Q&A. And there was quite a few of the Project 2020 and Project 70 people there, including our good friend Blake Jameson and Lauren Taylor was there. And they seemed like they had a lot of fun together. He made a comment because there's a picture he posted about she was kissing him on the cheek and he was kissing her. And he's like, some people are going to say this is photoshopped, and so much good stuff. And here are these knuckleheads over there like, yeah, I'm going to Chicago to steal. I mean, what runs through your mind? I mean, what kind of degenerate do you have to be to steal in the first place? I mean, I think we're all in that position, right? Hey, if I got to steal a loaf of bread to feed my kids, there's that moral, ethical question. I know, it gets posed, this versus that, but this dude stealing cards. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no justifiable.
Speaking of stupid moves, the New York Mets. I added this last minute. I don't know if you guys saw this. So Jeff Passan from ESPN tweet out, barring a drastic change between now and 5 p.m. This is a couple days ago. Signing deadline. The New York Mets do not plan to sign first-round pick Kumar Rocker, sources tell me, and Kylie McDaniel. While 11th hour deal is always possible, sources say it's unlikely. He did not sign, correct? He was the 10th overall pick. I was really excited. I thought the Royals might have a chance to take him at 7. Like, this guy was supposed to be a top 5-6 pick, maybe.
Yep.
He can go back to school if he wants and come back in the draft next year. The Mets will get the 11th overall pick. Whatever.
Maybe he goes to Japan.
Yeah. The Mets said it had to do with medical stuff. His agent comes out and says no, he's been examined. They took MRIs of his elbow from 2 years ago to now, and there's very little change. Multiple different independent medical people have reviewed his information and give him a clean bill of health and say, hey, there's nothing wrong. And why draft it? I don't it's just a really shitty move on the Mets part, I believe. And I think that dealing in bad faith and hey, and then it screws his kid. He has no other option. I mean, go back to school and pitch, but
so
why doesn't I think that he should become he didn't sign. They didn't sign him. He should be able to become a free agent.
Yeah, but there's a lot of manipulation can go on there, and for guys. But Buster only outlined this beautifully over the last couple of days on the Baseball Tonight pod, and how horrendous he thinks, how unfair this is to. We'll go ahead and say Kumar Rocker, since he's the kid that it just happened to, puts them in an awful, awful position. Because they have no recourse. He can go to an independent league. He can go overseas. But he's got to wait a year to resume his professional career or, begin his professional career. And, then Steve Cohen comes out and makes the comments he talks about, where he's just literally calling these players assets. And, draft picks are, you can get 5x return on investment against these. It's the best investment. Why would if I didn't see something bad in those MRIs, why would I pass on an opportunity to get 5x return against this kid's future? I think he's since deleted the tweet because it's not it's true based on the way the system works, but these aren't assets. If you're familiar with the television show Billions, the main character, Bobby Axelrod, is loosely based on Steve Cohen. So you take that for what that is. I mean, the mindset. But we're not talking about company stocks. We're not talking about hedge funds here. We're talking about a 21-year-old kid. And God forbid that he really did have something in that MRI. Now we're talking about his long-term health. I just read an article today on Mark Fidrich, the old Detroit Tiger from the 70s. And after his brilliant 76 career, how his his arm just kind of dead arm gave out on him, and his career was over. He was out of, off the Tigers by 81, and it's like, hopefully, Kumar is healthier than the Mets think. His agent is Scott Boras.
Bad faith. So.
I think a lot of blame goes on Boras, but most of the blame goes on the CBA. It's just a bad system for these kids. Period. End of discussion. Yeah. As far as that goes.
Two good examples of maybe somewhere he goes as well. To lay up your previous topic, Koufax retired at 30. So Tim's Kansas City Royals, Luke Hochevar. He refused to get signed by the Dodgers, goes independent, plays for the Fort Worth Cats here, the American Association, and gets drafted first overall the next year. Bit of a gamble, however, worked out well for him. And then also locally here, James Paxton pitched for the Grand Prairie Airhogs. Made a few starts. Played after spurning the Blue Jays in the 2009 draft, and gets picked by the Mariners in the 4th round. And he's had an okay career, but both of those guys have. But just because you don't come to an agreement doesn't mean your career is already over.
No. Yeah, I mean,
who's the guy? I'm drawing a blank. 85 tops, shows him in a A's hat, but he was drafted by the Twins.
Tim Belcher.
Thank you. Similar thing.
Well, one thing that they did say was they had onto yesterday's podcast, Baseball Tonight. They had a guy who deals with minor leagues, and he's like, odds are Rocker goes somewhere between 20 and 50 in next year's draft. Most of those guys in that range do not pan out if you're just looking at raw statistics, and somebody will take a flyer on him because his upside, I mean, literally going into this draft over the last year, the number 1 overall pick was the Kumar Rocker pick. Who's going to be number 2? And his velocity did dip from start to start. I mean, there are medicals and questions about his health, and the Mets they traded for Carrasco.
But then why take him if you knew that? Like, that's the thing. Like, they have all that stuff up front.
But see, the Mets have, they traded for an injured Carrasco. They've traded for players and signed players that have had injury issues. I think the medicals have had to have been worse than they let on.
I just think it looks bad all up.
The CBA expires at the end of this year. I really hope they're
lockout.
Yeah, I really hope they readdress the draft. So at some point, I mean, trading of draft picks, there's all kinds of stuff that
I don't get why they can't do that.
Because the idea is that the argument as to why it hasn't happened yet is that the Yankees and Dodgers et al. Will just buy all of the draft picks from the Royals and the Rays and Marlins. So you can't buy them.
They can only be traded for asset, like physical picks or players.
But when you make a trade, I mean, how many trades happened just now? We talked about earlier, right? Starling Marte went to the A's. Joey Gallo went to the Yankees. And their contracts were paid in full by the team that traded them, in this case, the Marlins and the Rangers. And I think that happened with quite a few players.
Yeah, but that's just for the rest of the season. What I'm saying is that you just allow they can't buy draft picks.
But see, that's what I'm saying is I'm trading you player A and cash, and you're giving me your number 1 overall pick next year as the Arizona Diamondbacks. Okay, well, the player that you're getting is Scrub McGee, and the money you're getting is $5 million. So essentially, we paid you $5 million. So you would have to put in parameters about what you can and can't do with cash.
I can pay off the remainder of his contract, but I can't give you a cent more than what he's due the rest of the season.
Make it some sort of conditional trading. Not that worked out well.
Stupid rules anyway. And that we didn't. Maybe they just let we just start in the second round. We skipped the first round of the draft.
There's a lot of people, including Keith Law, whether you like him or not, but he thinks it should be free enterprise. Once you've hit, just like the NFL, right? You have to your high school has to be 3 years in the past, right? Your high school graduation. Be this, once you're international and you have so much, experience, or once you're out of high school or college, free enterprise, you're a free agent. May the best team win. everybody's a free agent.
Yeah.
So I don't know about that extreme because all these teams are, there's that cost certainty.
Well, I mean, they're only paying minor leaguers like $10,000 a year anyway. So,
Yeah.
So what's the most disappointing? This is awesome. Super 70 Sports tweeted out the 1952 mantle of disappointment is a 1986 Donruss rated rookie Jose Canseco. So as we were talking about like the Lucas and the Zions and Ronald Acuñas and all this stuff earlier in the show, at one point in time, this card for kids was untouchable in the 80s because it was going in the neighborhood of $100+ a card, right? We didn't have grades back then. We didn't know how many were out there. We had no idea, but when we saw this card, we looked it up, and Beck, it was always on the hot list. It was always in triple digits with an arrow going, or triple digits with an arrow going up, right? It was untouchable. Now it's a, $10 card maybe?
15 to 20, last couple that I bid on a few months ago. Yeah, it still has worth.
So it still has some good value to it, but it's a fifth of what it was. Other cards?
It's a two-person lunch if you don't have one. For somebody like me that has multiple, I'm not going to go out and super collect this card because it's too expensive compared to saving.
Lunch. Are you going to forget your wallet again?
Everybody's got the jokes tonight.
Listen, his last show, you got to get these, Leo.
But no, what other cards fall in this group of like cards that had this massive value like this, and then all of a sudden just became a giant disappointment in your collection? Or not your collection, but someone's collection.
2008 Bowman, Gordon Beckham.
There you go, Gordon Beckham.
The usual late 80s suspects, right? The Greg Jeffries, the Todd Van Poppels.
Right,
but none of those had but see, Von Poppel was never like $100 card.
So, yeah, it's one of those things. How many of those were on par with this Canseco, which was an iconic
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's
part of the junk wax era.
There's only a handful that were like this big of a card that had a giant fall. Like the Beckham one was probably a couple $100.
Maybe
card.
Strasburg?
Yeah. I mean, it's come down.
He's a much better player, but
I mean, you look at Canseco's career, like really good numbers, but it just, he then became like the vagabond. I'll play for anybody. Like I'll even sign with the Expos. And
speaking of J-Lo,
I think he actually
tweeted out a T-shirt of him and J-Lo on a T-shirt. I mean,
look, he thinks aliens and time travel are real. So, no, and actually, speak of, I think he also played for the Fort Worth River Cats.
I mean, maybe there was an A-Rod card. I don't know.
30 minutes.
If you're on the Twitter, hit us up and let us know what would be on par with this card. I mean, it has to be something that was insanely overvalued at the time of its release. That was iconic. It can't just be. Yeah, it can't just be like a speculative card from 4 years ago.
No, but I like the Gordon Beckham thing because he was such a big time prospect coming out. And he started off doing really well, and then
and really started the whole huge ultra mega prospect. Again, the second round of it. I mean, 09 you have Harper. I want to say 10 you have Strasburg. 11 you have Trout. 12 you have Harper again. It's gone on since.
Yeah,
but the idea being, though, he compared it. I'm assuming it's a he behind the Twitter handle, so I apologize if I'm mistaken. But compared it to the 52 mantle, there's only one 52 mantle, and what cards are on par with that? Not very. The 51 Bowman is not as iconic. The Wagner, the Upper Deck Griffey, the 68 Nolan Ryan, the 86 Jordan. There's only so many iconic cards, and we can probably make a list of less than 10 that would be on par with the 52 mantle. And you can probably make a same list of cards that were on par with the 86 Canseco as being such a massive disappointment. In hindsight, it's absolutely a brilliant comparison. And when I saw it, and my first thought was, it's actually double disappointment because that mustache is really the real disappointment. I mean,
yeah. But so the question of the week, fellas.
Quick tip off before you drop that.
Yeah.
Kenny Beecham just dislocated my shoulder taking off a hoodie. It's a Rap Boys. I'm out 3 to 4 months.
Who's that?
Been there, done that. It just came across my feed.
He lives 45 minutes away from somebody's home.
Question of the week. Best moment of the past 3+ years of doing this podcast. Ben, what's your best moment?
I didn't know that was going to, man. You know, I to take the easy way out when Dwight asks Michael when they think that they're going to be downsized and the branch is going to be gone. He's like, what was your favorite moment? He goes, I loved them all. I mean, it's been such a blessing. I think, just some of the off the cuff stuff. I mean, we're a live show. I know not every podcast is live. Yeah, there have been so many good times where we've said something and went on rants and raves. And I think one of my favorite moments is all the crap I get about being an angry little troll. And one time, probably a year into it, Tim's like, you know what? I'm going to be Ben right now. And you went on this beautiful, glorious rant. And you were angry and mad about something. And I just sat back like a proud papa, like, it's not me this time, guys. It's like, I rubbed off on him and I brought a tear to my eye.
What about you, Steph?
Phrase that a little better. I got two. One, obviously, 2019 National. Being able to share that experience with a newcomer, being able to surprise you by saying, hey, go talk to that one guy. A quick heads up. But I mean, the hobby show, the hobby house, the friends that we got to introduce in person and meet, getting you invited to our private DMs. But also, much like Ben had said, that the private dumb moments that we share behind the scenes, the moments that slip as we're live, yelling, hey, Angela, the episode where I was horrendously sick. May have been what's going on right now. And just couldn't stop coughing, didn't know that I wasn't muted. The hey, Angela moment that Once a Cub mentions, of course.
That's why she said that now.
I think she's downstairs. Otherwise,
it's got to be 3 years of randomly saying something and Steph pulling it out of his ass right there on his desk, no matter what we said.
Eddie Stubbs,
the Stubbs
barbecue sauce.
But also, getting to share the podcast with you guys for 3 years, 3 wonderful years, sharing the private stuff that goes on behind the scenes, seeing your guys' families, sharing the rants, the dumb crap that happens this week, and of course, as has been recorded, and Shep, if you really need to find that and post it again, the Dumb Ben video, Bean, as were. I'd go with those.
There is one that we have to share that is only private to the three of us. It's an inside joke. But when Bowman Heritage dropped in, 2019? And it was out of nowhere. And everybody's like, this drop. There is one tweet that ended up, I think all three of us simultaneously had sent it to our group DM right around the same time, and I think Shep might have been the one saying, hey, already shared that. And now, to this day, a year and a half later,
these two idiots still send that all the time. Like
whenever one of us want to piss off the other one. What was the original date, Steph?
November 27th, 2019.
Okay, so we're just shy of a couple of years now, and anytime one of us want to be a dum-dum and a jackass, one of us drops it. It's usually Steph does it first. I do it right behind him.
I've never sent it again. For the record, never sent that tweet ever again.
And we've gotten more than once Shep saying in the podcast, almost like an angry mother, guys, to some effect of stop, And so anyway, now that you guys all know our inside joke, it was a great tweet.
That's a good one.
And so that has to be on a short list of favorite parts that nobody else got to see until now. So what about you, Shep?
Yeah. No, I mean, one, it was the tweet, like I sent on, said, hey, we should start a podcast.
Sure.
And Steph saying, I have a mic in your headphones, but I don't travel or whatever. That kind of started everything, and how terrible episode 1 was or 0 was.
Hi, my name is Ben.
Yeah,
I'm from
and
Sacramento.
I had the big thing, and it was just goofy looking back on some of that stuff. And I'm really glad we have the video and the audio for all that stuff. But being
speaking of said tweet, I would like to say that just officially for the record, that I have proof and will always have proof that you're the first person to admit that you're Ben's friend and that he's your friend.
Tom, we don't need proof
delete
about
that
everything.
It's gonna come back and haunt me. No, is when I got to visit and do the national in 2019, being interviewed by Mojo and those guys, and have known them for almost a decade at that point, but actually getting to meet them for the first time, and them wanting to sit down with Steph and I, because we were there, and talk about the podcast, and then being on the main stage and having Beckett sit down and talk with us, and Eric, who kind of helped me get this show started, because I was really upset because I didn't think that they were doing a very good job, and that's what really spurred me to want to do this show.
Well, anybody can just start a podcast.
Yeah, and we proved that. And then having somebody that molded my hobbiness as a child know who I am when I walked up and say they listened to the podcast and knew and wanted to interview me and I was actually, almost like a peer like that to me, like those moments there, like that kind of stuff just really sticks with me. And I've been really happy to do this. And I guys, like, to be honest, like I've thought about this really, everybody's watching and listening, but these guys too, like it was like a month of going back and forth in my head about doing this. And it's not something I did lightly, or I just once said like, hey, one day I'm just going to do this. Like I really thought about it, and I didn't even tell my wife. Like it was something I was just, in my head thinking about. And it just came down to, that's why I kind of told these guys, hey, I need like 2 weeks. One was because I wasn't going to be here, because we ended up going to Monterey early 1 week, and that was like the second week. Hey, I just need some time. I wanted to really see what it was like not doing the podcast a couple of weeks in a row. And I was just like, yeah, like it did. Like I was super excited to do tonight's show, but I can just tell you, like for me right now at this point, it just kind of burnt out. I mean, just a little bit more than I would like, and I don't want this great thing to suffer because I'm not 100%, and I'm not able to give it all of my effort every week, and like it should be, and like I have, and like these guys are doing. And there's plenty of great people to hop in and hang out and fill in and do this, but keep listening to these fellas. They're going to do a great job. I'm still going to be around on Twitter. You can always find me and stuff, and I might hop back in one day and hang out with them. We'll see.
He says. Like you're not going to get signed by the Birmingham Barons.
Yeah.
Might.
But, who knows? We'll see what happens. And, who's reaching me. But I want to thank everyone that's always ever listened or liked or shared a tweet or been a follower on YouTube or Twitter or wherever. That's been part of this. There's too many to name. I just want to say thank you to everyone. So,
on behalf of myself and Stefan, I mean, we're brothers for life. Your seat is not going to be filled permanently. This is not goodbye. This is just, hey, see you later, man. And we'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're just isolated to the podcast. We fully expect you to come back at some point, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But we want you to know that that door, although the locks have been changed,
and make sure that it hits you on your way out.
New phone, who dis? But yeah, if you take a month off, 6 months off, and say, guys, I'm ready to come back, hey, then you're back. So it's not goodbye. It's just see you soon.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that we'd hang a banner up there for you, but one, I dislocate my shoulder trying to do it, and Ben can't reach, so that's going to have to wait until you come over to help us with it.
Okay.
But no, exactly. We'll keep the seat warm. There's a light on for you, and we look forward to seeing what comes next.
Yeah, definitely.
Who's cutting onions in the house? Come on.
Well, remember, these guys are going to be live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific.
10 Central.
On YouTube. Make sure to subscribe and review the show on all platforms. Follow About the Cards on Twitter and Instagram. Follow Ben at Our Trading Cards. You can always follow Steph at Junk Wax Twins. You can always follow me at Big Shep79. I'll be around, and I still want to be a huge hobby resource. So let me know. Please share your hobby stories. Great polls. Send your questions our way. Keep collecting, and these fellows will see you next week.